Your grocery cart is basically a money shredder. 90% of what you're buying right now, you don't need it. There are exactly 20 items that actually matter, and the rest is just profit for supermarkets disguised as essentials. What you're about to see will make your next receipt look unrecognizable. Let's start with the most versatile food in your entire kitchen: eggs. One large egg gives you 6 grams of complete protein. All 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. And the cost? About 15 cents. 15 cents. You'd spend more on a parking meter just reading this sentence. Here's what nobody talks about, though. 90% of people aren't getting enough choline. It's a nutrient that supports your memory and brain function. Guess what's loaded with it? That humble egg sitting in your fridge. And unlike that bag of salad you bought with good intentions last week, you know, the one turning to soup in the crisper drawer. Eggs last 3 to 5 weeks refrigerated. No guilt, no waste. Hard boil a dozen every week. Grab and go protein without touching a pan. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, baking. Name another single ingredient that works for all 4. The average household throws away $1,500 of food annually. Eggs almost never contribute to that pile. But protein's only half the equation. You need something to stretch those meals further. And what comes next costs 5 cents per serving. Rice. A 20-pound bag costs around $15. Sounds like a lot up front, right? But do the math. That's 300 servings, 5 cents each. You can't even make a phone call for 5 cents anymore. Here's where rice gets ridiculous, though. White rice stored properly in a cool, dry place? 30 years. 3 decades sitting in your pantry. Perfectly fine. Your rice will outlast your car, probably your knees. Half the world's population eats rice as their primary food source. Billions of people can't all be wrong, and it plays nice with everything. Chicken, perfect. Vegetables, great. Beans, now we're talking complete nutrition. Rice stretches expensive ingredients into full meals. That $4 portion of stir-fry meat suddenly feeds the whole family. 1 cup cooked gives you 45 grams of carbohydrates. Steady energy without the sugar crash you get from that granola bar pretending to be healthy. Quick tip, cook your rice in chicken broth instead of water. Transforms it completely. Speaking of transformations, the next item pairs with rice so perfectly that together they create something neither can do alone. Dried beans. Here's a number that should make you angry. Canned beans cost 3 times more than dried. You're literally paying extra for water and salt. A 1-pound bag of dried beans runs about $2. Sounds small, right? But that little bag expands into 6 or 7 cups cooked. That's feeding your family for a week, and your heart is basically sending you a thank you card. Studies found people eating beans 4 times weekly had 22% lower risk of heart disease. That's better than some medications and way cheaper than your copay. 1 cup of cooked black beans gives you 15 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber. Most people don't eat 15 grams of fiber in an entire day. You're getting it in one side dish. The soaking thing scares people off, but honestly, dump beans in water before bed, drain in the morning, done. Here's the magic trick. Remember that rice we just talked about? Beans and rice together form a complete protein. Every amino acid, no meat required. Speaking of mornings, oats. That boring bowl of oatmeal turns out to be basically heart medicine, disguised as breakfast. There's this fiber called beta-glucan hiding in oats. It grabs cholesterol in your gut and escorts it right out of your body. Studies show it drops bad cholesterol by 5 to 10% in just a few weeks. Now here's the price that'll make you laugh at fancy cereal. A giant canister costs around $4. That's 30 breakfasts, 13 cents per morning. Meanwhile, those sugar-coated flakes? Gone by Wednesday. The energy thing matters too. Sugary cereals spike your blood sugar, then crash you by 10 in the morning. Oats release energy slowly over 3 or 4 hours. No mid-morning zombie mode. But wait, oats aren't just breakfast. Grind them into flour for pancakes. Toss them into meatballs as a binder. And that beta-glucan keeping you full crushes afternoon snack cravings. Speaking of vegetables you should be snacking on, frozen vegetables. Here's a dirty little secret. The produce aisle doesn't want you knowing that fresh broccoli sitting under those fancy misters has been on a 2-week road trip across 1,500 miles. Meanwhile, frozen broccoli got flash frozen within hours of being picked. Guess which one actually has more vitamins left? Studies tested frozen spinach against the fresh stuff that sat in refrigerators for 5 days. Frozen spinach had more vitamin C, not equal, more. The price makes it even better. A bag of frozen broccoli runs about $1.50. It never goes bad sitting in your freezer. No guilt, no slimy vegetables haunting the back of your crisper drawer. And prep time? 0. No washing, no chopping, just dump and cook. The average person throws away 31% of fresh vegetables they buy. Frozen waste, basically nothing. Now let's talk about the cheapest fruit in the entire store. Bananas, 25 cents. That's it. The cheapest fresh fruit you'll find anywhere. And somehow, it's also one of the most nutritious things in the entire produce section. One medium banana packs 422 milligrams of potassium. Your heart needs that stuff to keep beating in rhythm. Your blood pressure depends on it. Most people aren't getting enough. And here's the fix sitting right there, for a quarter. But here's where bananas get clever. That spotted brown banana everyone throws away? Freeze it. Toss it in a smoothie later. Mash it into banana bread. Those brown spots actually mean more natural sweetness. So you need less sugar in whatever you're baking, and slightly green bananas contain resistant starch that feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Same fruit, different ripeness, different health benefit. No plastic container needed, no refrigeration required. Nature literally wrapped this thing in its own carrying case. Speaking of things that come in their own package, canned tomatoes. Here's something that'll surprise you. The canned version is actually healthier than fresh. Heat processing releases lycopene, a compound that fights cancer cells. Fresh tomatoes have some. Canned tomatoes have 3 to 4 times more. A 28-ounce can run you less than $2. That same can become pasta sauce tonight, soup tomorrow, chili on Wednesday. One ingredient, endless possibilities. And here's the thing about fresh tomatoes. They only taste good from roughly June through August. The rest of the year, mealy, pale, disappointing. Meanwhile, canned tomatoes were picked at peak ripeness and processed within hours. They taste like summer in January. These cans sit in your pantry for 2 years without complaining. No rushing to use them before they rot. Now, speaking of protein that won't break the bank, chicken thighs. Everyone reaches for chicken breast like it's the only option. Meanwhile, the thighs sit there lonely, practically begging someone to notice them. Breast meat runs you $5 to $7 a pound, thighs $2 to $3. That's nearly half the price for meat that actually tastes like something. Here's what nobody tells you. Dark meat is almost impossible to mess up. Overcooked chicken breast turns into rubber. Overcooked thigh, still juicy. The extra fat acts like insurance against your tendency to get distracted while dinner's on. The stove, and those bones you'd normally toss? Save them. A freezer bag of chicken bones becomes homemade stock worth $4 at the store. Professional chefs know this secret. Thighs hold marinades better, braise without falling apart, and stay moist in the slow cooker all day. One family pack gets you 3 completely different meals. Speaking of jars that pull their weight in the kitchen, peanut butter. This jar sits in almost every pantry. Yet, most people treat it like some kind of kids-only food. Big mistake. 2 tablespoons give you 8 grams of protein for about 15 cents. Try finding that deal anywhere else. Here's what makes peanut butter sneaky good. It doesn't need refrigeration until you open it. Sits on your shelf for 9 months without complaining. And the health stuff. Studies link regular peanut butter consumption to 19% lower risk of heart disease in people over 50. Those healthy fats do real work. But versatility is where this jar really shows off. Breakfast toast, lunch sandwiches, smoothies, dinner sauce, midnight snack when the fridge light becomes your only friend at 2 in the morning. Mix it into oatmeal, and suddenly, breakfast keeps you full until noon. No mid-morning vending machine temptation. Now, speaking of foods that never get the respect they deserve, potatoes get a bad reputation. Every low-carb diet acts like eating one will instantly ruin your health. Nonsense. Here's what they won't tell you. A single medium potato packs 620 milligrams of potassium. That's more than a banana. Way more. Your heart needs that mineral to keep beating in rhythm. The cost? About 50 cents per pound. And they'll sit in a cool, dark corner of your kitchen for 2 to 3 months without complaining. And try that with your fancy salad greens. But wait, potatoes are also fat-free, cholesterol-free. They actually contain more vitamin C than tomatoes. Want a complete meal for under $1? Bake a potato, top it with beans and frozen vegetables. Done. You just made dinner cheaper than a candy bar from the gas station. Scientists tested which foods keep you fullest longest. Potatoes ranked #1 above everything. Now, cheap food is great, but cheap food needs flavor. Onions might be the most underrated ingredient in your entire kitchen. They cost about 80 cents per pound. That's practically free, and yet professional chefs consider them absolutely essential. Why? Because onions are flavor multipliers. They take boring chicken and boring rice and turn them into something you'd actually want to eat. When you cook an onion low and slow, something incredible happens. The harsh, eye-watering compounds break down. Natural sugars emerge. Suddenly, you've got sweetness without adding a single grain of sugar, and the shelf life, ridiculous. Yellow onions will sit happily in a cool, dark corner for 2 to 3 months. Your fresh herbs died 3 weeks ago. Your lettuce turned to soup. But those onions, still perfect. Now here's something most doctors won't mention. Those sulfur compounds making you cry are actually fighting inflammation in your body. Your tears are the price of admission. Every cuisine on earth starts with onions sizzling in a pan. Speaking of essential aromatics, garlic might be the only ingredient that doubles as actual medicine. Fresh garlic contains allicin, a compound that studies show can lower blood pressure as effectively as some prescription medications. 30 to 50 cents for a whole head. Your copay is probably $20, and that head will sit happily on your counter for 3 to 6 months. Now here's the trick nobody mentions. If you want the health benefits, crush or chop your garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes before cooking. This activates the good stuff. The cancer research is promising too. Regular garlic eaters show 30% lower rates of colorectal cancer in large population studies. Roast A, whole head until it turns into spreadable gold. Speaking of fats worth keeping around, olive oil is the one bottle that deserves prime real estate in your kitchen. Extra virgin olive oil contains compounds that work like natural medicine in your body. Populations using lots of olive oil show 30% fewer heart attacks and strokes. And here's the money math nobody does. Buying one large bottle of quality olive oil for everything actually costs less than buying separate bottles of vegetable oil, canola oil, and fancy finishing oil. One bottle, every cooking task. Store it away from heat and light. A dark cabinet works perfectly. Speaking of things that come in cans, a can of tuna costs $1.50 and delivers 25 grams of protein. That's the same protein you'd get from a $10 salmon fillet. Here's something most people don't realize. Canned tuna is often fresher than the fresh fish sitting on ice. Processing plants seal those cans within hours of the catch. The omega-3 fatty acids in tuna support your brain, reduce inflammation, and might help prevent cognitive decline as you age. Basically, it's retirement insurance in a can. 3 minutes from can to tuna salad. No cooking required. Speaking of things that last forever in your fridge, whole carrots sit for a month and still crunch like the day you bought them. A 2-pound bag costs $1.50. That's less than your morning coffee and feeds you for weeks. Beta-carotene converts to vitamin A in your body. Your eyes need it, your immune system craves it. Now, here's a trick worth knowing. Cook your carrots with a little butter or olive oil. Fat increases beta-carotene absorption by up to 6 times. Raw carrot sticks are fine. Roasted carrots with olive oil, that's medicine. Speaking of things that look different than what they actually are, bread labels might be lying to you. That wheat bread sitting in your cart right now, flip it over. Read the first ingredient. If it says wheat flour without the word whole in front, you just bought white bread wearing a brown disguise. Real whole grain bread puts whole wheat flour first on the label. One slice of genuine whole grain bread packs 3 to 4 grams of fiber. People eating whole grains daily show 20% lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Freeze your loaf. Toast slices as needed, 0 waste. Butter got blamed for heart disease for 50 years. Turns out, the science was wrong. Here's what butter actually contains. Cream, salt. That's it. 2 ingredients. Butter delivers vitamin K2, a nutrient most people have never heard of. It tells calcium where to go in your body. Bones? Yes. Arteries? No thanks. 1 pound costs $4 to $5 and lasts most families a full month. And here's a secret. Vegetables taste boring until you add butter. Suddenly, broccoli becomes something you actually want to eat. Store-brand butter, same stuff as the fancy packages, just without the marketing budget. Butter freezes beautifully for 6 months. Speaking of quick weeknight solutions, pasta. A 1-pound box costs $1, maybe $2. That feeds 4 hungry adults. We're talking 40 cents per person for a full meal. And dried pasta basically lives forever. 2 to 3 years sitting in your pantry. That's close enough. Whole wheat pasta has twice the fiber of regular pasta and actually tastes good now. Here's a trick worth learning. Cook your pasta 1 minute less than the box says. That texture holds sauce better. Save a cup of that starchy pasta water before draining. That cloudy liquid is magic. It makes sauce actually cling to the noodles instead of sliding off. Pasta, canned tomatoes, garlic, olive oil. That's a Mediterranean dinner for under $2. Speaking of vegetables that refuse to quit, cabbage. The stuff that sits in refrigerators longer than some relationships last. 2 months. A head of cabbage survives 2 whole months in your fridge. And the price? 1 head. Runs you $1, maybe $2. That's 3 pounds of vegetable for less than a fancy coffee. But here's what nobody talks about. Cabbage packs more vitamin C than a small orange. The cancer research is interesting too. Scientists found compounds that activate when you cut or chop cabbage. Early studies suggest these compounds may lower certain cancer risks. Not bad for the cheapest thing in the produce section. Coleslaw, stir-fry, soup, tacos, sauerkraut. 1 vegetable, 5 completely different dinner directions. Now, about that last essential item, milk. Your bones are literally begging for calcium right now. 1 cup of milk delivers 300 milligrams. That's 30% of what adults over 50 need daily just to keep their skeleton from staging a rebellion. 54 million people walk around with low bone density. That's bones getting weaker by the year. Milk pulls off something rare. Complete protein, vitamin D, potassium, and calcium in 1 glass. Try getting that combination from any other single food. Can't do dairy? No problem. Fortified plant milks match the calcium and vitamin D numbers. Just check the protein content because it varies wildly between brands. So there you have it. 20 groceries. That's all you need. Everything else in that store is trying to separate you from your money. Shop smarter, eat better, save thousands.